Stay tuned at the end of this video. I'll tell you how to get tickets to my Austin, Dallas, or Washington, D.C. shows. All right, let's get started. By the time you watch this video, maybe the Senate has called John Bolton to testify for the impeachment. Maybe they haven't. That's not the point. There's a larger point to be made here. The Democrats have revealed themselves by suddenly pretending that John Bolton is their savior, is a superhero. John Bolton is a supervillain of all supervillains, all right? This guy lies and cheats and steals and pushes for war around the world. He's like Hitler without the power. This guy is a revolting mess of a human being. The idea that the corporate Democrats have suddenly decided, hey, this guy's great, he's gonna help us impeach Donald Trump, is revolting. Sure, Donald Trump is corrupt. Sure, he's a fucking horrible human being and he should be impeached for a million things, and the Democrats are impeaching him for the least of all his crimes. The point is that the Democrats have revealed something significant about what they stand for. Let's go through what John Bolton has done with his career. On television in the past year, he said, we want to steal the oil from Venezuela.
We're looking at the oil assets. That's the single most important income stream to the government of Venezuela. We're looking at what to do to that. We want everybody to know we're looking at all this very seriously. We don't want any American businesses or investors caught by surprise.
When he was in the Trump administration, he was endlessly pushing for a coup against Venezuela, for stealing their resources, for crushing their people, all right, which a lot of the Democrats got behind. Our economic war against Venezuela has had devastating impacts, all right? We're talking 40,000 people dead is the estimate due to our economic war against them. And yet John Bolton claims they would collapse into a tyranny if it weren't for our saving grace. Yeah, that's right. We have to collapse your country, destroy your economy, kill tens of thousands of people, kick out your elected leader, and all of that to stop you from ending up in tyranny. Something tells me that the Venezuelans who have already died from our economic war on them probably aren't too worried about this supposed tyranny. Of course, Bolton also pushed for war in Iraq and said there were WMD back when that was going on. And we killed 1 million people in Iraq. And John Bolton was one of the masterminds of this catastrophic and disgusting war crime that killed so many innocent civilians. But now, he's a hero. And then with Iran, he has continued to push absolute lies.
So I still think it's Iran's support for terrorism and its continued effort to get deliverable nuclear weapons.
Right. There is no evidence Iran has continued to try to get nuclear weapons. In fact, after Donald Trump pulled out of the nuclear agreement, Iran continued to stick with it for another year until we assassinated their top general. And yet John Bolton wants to say they're the greatest risk in the Middle East. They're the most dangerous nation in the Middle East. No, we're the most dangerous people in the Middle East, all right? We drop a bomb every 12 minutes by the Pentagon's own numbers. We've killed millions of people. If there's a number one terrorist in the Middle East. But this next clip of John Bolton, this is one of my old favorites.
But it all ties together in the Middle East. You may have seen reports recently of a UN inspector's study of North Korea selling chemical weapons, precursor chemicals, and equipment to manufacture chemical weapons to Syria, right, likely financed by Iran. So there's a palpable threat of weapons of mass destruction.
What in God's name are you talking about? He just combined all of the lies and propaganda into just like one giant mesh of propaganda. Just so the North Koreans, they built these chemical weapons and then they ship them to Venezuela where they're blessed for terrorist activity, and then Venezuela ships them over to China, who then wraps them in a bow, and then that is given over to Russia where they sprinkle some ceremonial vodka on the chemical weapons, financed by Iran, and over to Syria so that Syria can kill innocent people. It really is just disgusting how they're all working together there. When in fact, here's the truth. Syria did not use chemical weapons. In fact, the OPCW, which initially said that they did, has had not one, but two whistleblowers come forward. And these are career people who have done nothing but fight against chemical weapons their entire career, who were working for the OPCW. Two whistleblowers have come forward and said that there was no proof of chemical weapons used by Assad. And WikiLeaks also has published the initial reports showing that there were no chemical weapons. And yet, the OPCW, through pressure from the United States, ultimately said, oh, there were chemical attacks. And the U.S. claimed there were chemical attacks. And so we then bombed Syria. But now we know the truth. And our mainstream media won't report on it, despite the fact that one of these OPCW whistleblowers has now spoken in front of the UN. Okay, you get the point. John Bolton is a lying dumpster fire of a sociopath. And the point of this video is not that Donald Trump is a great guy. It's that the Democrats have revealed themselves by deciding John Bolton, of all people, is their new hero. It shows they have no moral or ethical core. There is nothing in there. Corporate Democrats will get in bed with the most reviled human beings. They will snuggle up in bed and cuddle and spoon together because they have no moral core. And if John Bolton wasn't enough, here's another example. James Comey, right? The former head of the FBI. This is the guy who the liberals hated initially because he reopened the case into Hillary Clinton a few weeks before the election. And immediately after the election, the Hillary campaign and many liberals said, James Comey and the FBI are the ones to blame for her loss. It's the FBI. And they only continued that for a week because it occurred to them, oh, maybe it's a bad idea to get on the other side of the deep state, to go against the most powerful entity in the nation. Maybe that's a bad idea. So they only hated James Comey for a week. Then he became the liberal darling. Each time they make these choices to get in bed with, to agree with, to hold up as superheroes, the same reviled, disgusting human beings that are well known for their war hawking and their sad, pathetic worldview, an economy based on death and destruction. Every time the corporate Democrats do that, we see who they are. We see what they're made of inside. And of course, the Republicans are also woefully corrupt. So we should not give in to this two-party bullshit. Don't decide that you're on this team or this team. Actually figure out what you fucking stand for and go with that, okay? That's your moment of clarity for today. I'm going to be performing live in Dallas, Austin, Texas, Washington, D.C., and a ton of other cities as part of my new book tour. And all of those details and tickets are at leecamp.com. Also, the book is at leecampbook.com. Please share this if you see fit and click the subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button because that's important. All right, keep fighting.